Okay, we are live.
Hello, everyone. So sorry for the delay. We had some technical glitch, but here we are. So let's begin. Okay. Confidence or disrespect? That's the question everyone's been asking after the recent KBC child incident. But beneath the headlines and the trolling lies a deeper issue. How do we, as adults, respond when a child simply expresses themselves? Hi everyone, I'm Swati Shajul, a psychologist and program coordinator at Evolve Ed, and today we are diving into this important conversation about confidence, compassion, and the impact of online reactions to young minds. Stay tuned as we explore this with empathy and insight, and remember, every discussion like this is a step toward a kinder, more mindful world. Joining me today are two incredible women who bring deep insight and experience to this conversation. We have Ms. Fatima Askar, a psychologist, parent coach, and founder of EvolveEd, as well as a TEDx speaker who has been passionately working to support parents, teachers, and children through the initiative in education and mental health. And we are truly honored to have with us Professor Dr. Ushi Mohandas, a renowned neuropsychology researcher, TEDx speaker, and leadership coach with over 4 decades of experience in mental health and education. Thank you so much for coming, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
This topic has really brought some strong reactions online, and I think it's important we unpack why. So to begin, Ushi ma'am, why do you think this incident with the KBC child sparked such intense reaction on social media?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I start by saying, I'm not sure why the reaction was because the word reaction itself tells you what it is. And I would just start by saying that there's neither good or bad. It's your thinking that makes it so. So if someone's finding it really good, it's their thinking. If someone's finding it really bad, then it's their thinking. It has nothing to do with the child. It has nothing
Right.
to do with what happened on KBC. A
And
reaction is something which is from the most primitive part of the brain, and thereby you're not thinking. And somebody who's thinking will respond, they will not react. And the fact that you're reacting either shows that you don't know the whole of it or you're just joining the bandwagon, which means that you're taking a left or a right. And there is no serious left or right. It's always somewhere to the right, somewhere to the left. And that's how the brain works. So I'm not with those who say that, yay, great, everything that happened was superb. Neither am I with those who say that, oh, that kid should have been taught lessons, the family did a shit job, and it's like he should behave a certain way, which means that that's not right either. So for me, there has to be a situation, there has to be a response, there's individuality, there's environment, and there's a lot of conditioning that has happened either at home, in where you're walking, in the society where you live, in the school where you're studying. There are serious influences in a child's life, and you cannot tell him that you're right or wrong. You can always say that, hey, I love this about you, and there are some things you can do better.
mhm,
So
that's a
that's
really
my
good.
take on that. The reaction is not a word I subscribe to.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question goes to Miss Fatima. At 10 years old, can we expect a child to fully understand how their tone or words might be perceived?
Sure. So, Swati, before I answer that question, can I just go back to that first question? Because I think I have a
All,
different take on that.
all
Yeah.
right.
So I
Please,
think, from a parent perspective, I'm looking at it from a perspective of an adult who's working with adults. I think what we are right now is, when we view our children, we expect a lot from them. We expect that cuteness, that little bit of humility, the tone, which is, not acceptable by the adults. So I think that is also pushing people to react, because I saw this video, by the way. I just saw it after I heard that there was so much of trolling happening. I watched that video, and Swati, you were there when I was watching that video,
Yes,
right?
I was
I
right
saw
there.
the end, and at the end, the boy got up and he said, it seems that you can't take a picture if you go beyond some money, because I'm not a follower of KBC. He very cutely, humbly, requested for a photograph. And I think that 10-year-old boy was just behaving like a 10-year-old. Now, I know people will label that as a new gen, alpha gen, previous, but let's not label him as any generation. I think he was just being somebody. There could be a lot of things going in that child. There could be nervousness, there could be excitement. I think, the parents would also feel proud that he's here and he's shouldering that responsibility right there when he's sitting in front of, a big personality. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a lot of reactions also, because in a lot of societies, especially ours, when we signal out behaviors, especially in children, from the adults, we feel like we are signaling values. Like, we can't we are not trained to kind of sit back and not signal out people when they're bad. So the moment is that the child is just speaking something is rude, then we feel that sense of morality, that I need to correct that behavior. How could he done that? I mean, we kind of get into those four. So that's one of the reasons why these intense reactions come. I mean, I feel that. And of course, a lot of times, especially in a social media, a lot of intense reactions actually gets a lot of like. And I've seen a lot of people writing little notes and their perspective on the on the situations and the episode. And a lot of people share comments like notes which has their personal perspective and biases written onto it. I feel
Right.
like they thrive on people's biases and they keep sharing that, and that just becomes like a loop, and that outrage just be. So I think people just like intense reactions on social media because they get a lot of likes. And we're just a generation, I think Ushi will agree to it as well. We can't stand up to people and talk about in front of people, but we kind of sit back behind the screens, and we have all the morality to come and say this is good or bad, whether it's a child or the parent or the educators. And
Right.
be it having a conversation in front of the parent, we don't have the guts to do it. It's only through words on screen that we do that, right, Rushi? Do you agree with me on that? I think she's quiet. Okay. um Now, coming to the second question. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask the second question. Your second question was, as a 10-year-old,
Yeah. At
uh,
10 years old, can we expect a child to fully understand how their tone or words might be perceived?
when I was a 10-year-old, I didn't understand anything, to be honest. I don't think 10 years old are ready enough to understand how their reactions is going to influence somebody else's reactions. I don't think we're even equipped at that age to even understand what we are acting. So the theory of the mind, that cognition of the boy is not fully developed, the especially the executive functioning of it in terms of self-regulating that excitement and that anxiety is something that I think they're not ready for. And of course, consequences, like children are not ready to understand. Even adults find it difficult to understand that whole abstract consequences, long term thinking, and what is it that's going to happen if I speak to it like that. And not, so their prefrontal cortex is not completely developed enough for them to judge and to, of course, manage their impulses, excitement, and also social awareness. I don't think they're fully mature to do that. So I think, yeah, as a 10-year-old, we just have to be a little more kind and understand that that child didn't know how he was talking at that particular time. Also, that sense of emotions and excitement, he's just not able to regulate that. And that's how we all are nowadays.
I just wanted to add one point to that, like a question more like we all came from this stage, right? We all were 10-year-old ones. So why is that people are not understanding that? Like, why are they not being empathetic towards that child? Since we all did come from that stage.
I think Ushi should be able to answer that better.
All right. So, in my opinion, right, these people who are, like become WhatsApp warriors and social
Mhm.
media warriors, for the sake of polite children out there who need to respect and understand the host's accomplishments, etc. I think, a man sees in the world what they carry in their heart. So if you're out there pointing fingers at a little child and you're saying that the wrong thing happened and he should have been taught better, you were kind of crucifying the parents and the child and KBC and the host and everything else that you can. I think it's a part of your own baggage that you're spilling out there. It has nothing to do with the child. The child might have been a trigger. What you
Correct.
saw on KBC must have been a trigger, but everything is about you. So if I'm going to sit there and spew venom at a child, or I'm going to go and glorify a child, there's something inside me that got triggered. And I feel in situations like this, it was just take it as just one episode of KBC. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly is a horrible judgment. And I think we're nobody to do that. Who knows? It must be a PR exercise. Who knows what happened behind the scenes?
Yeah,
Who knows? Everybody who doesn't even know KBC today knows KBC.
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
And
valid.
who knows? It can, all kinds of publicity is acceptable today, both negative and positive.
yep,
I will request people to take a step back, take a deep breath, uh, go take a chill pill, and just put your foot up and relax. That kid is doing what he thought was appropriate at that time,
Right.
with
Right.
or without the production team's help. Uh, the host is doing supremely well thanks to all the skills that he has honed over 30, 40 years. And I guess with or without the production team's help, there's a fantastic PR agency which is doing supremely well. And I don't see why you and me should get our blood pressures up, thinking if the child was brought up well, or his school was not a good place, or whether his parents didn't do a good job, or we are people who are sanskari and we don't talk like this to our elders. Come on, get a life. Nobody's saying he's right or he's wrong. He has a lot of growing up to do. He's
yeah,
just molding himself to be who he is.
Exactly.
And there is
Exactly.
no right way of doing this. Now, if he's a child who speaks his mind, which may be uncomfortable to somebody, so be it. Now, if he's a child who chooses to stay quiet and keeps bowing down when he sees an elder, so be it. At the end of the day, he needs to develop into an adult. He's at an age where children are a little precautious today because they are exposed to a lot of social media. They have a lot of information which we never had. At the age of 10, I'm sure Fatima will agree with me that I was hanging down one tamarind tree. I didn't know what the hell was rude, polite, kind, not so kind, cool, chill, and all these kind of things. I just knew this is tamarind. If you climb up there, ants are going to bite you, and when you come back home, you're going to get spanked. You understand what I'm saying? And it didn't matter.
Agree.
When we went to
Right.
school, also, it was a different thing altogether. Today, everyone lives in an era where you get butthurt at the drop of a hat. I mean, you say something about a child, then you're labeled. You don't say anything, then you're labeled. You say something about a woman, you're labeled. You don't say anything about a woman, you're labeled. And if you say anything about politics, forget labeled, you're buried alive. So I guess we live in a very hypersensitive environment. This was just another episode. You would have all kinds of episodes because it adds variety to the show. The host didn't look offended, and the child didn't look perturbed at all. So let's enjoy that feeling and not sit here like some autopsy specialists who are going to go there and dissect something that happened and give reports of different kinds, so that everyone else becomes uncomfortable now because you're pointing out to too much of negative. And I think this is a problem with the world where positive sells and negative supercells. And that's
Right.
exactly the dictum of people who sell such things. So I would urge all the parents and children and whoever's listening to this, you please consume content carefully. Don't take sides, and ensure that
Very
you have a
important.
view. And just because you have an opinion, please don't puke it out there. Take some time out, take a step back. And when you slow down a little bit, that kid or the host both will seem equally human. And since when have humans become perfect? We definitely have problems. All of us have problems. So I guess at some point we are not perfect, right? So, I mean, that's my take on the fact that people are just highly judgmental. And it's not a good thing, Fatima. It's definitely not a good thing.
For sure. I think I completely agree with your point. And I think
Yeah.
somewhere that whole thing of overreacting, because I
Yeah.
think as a society, I remember as when I did a mistake as a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, my father used to, bring me home, and within that little small community that we had with my chachas and all that, he didn't even correct me in front of them.
Yeah.
That correction was done in a very, very systematic, keeping the vulnerability. Of course, even if we got shouted and a little spanked at the end, it was not on the road, you know so it was not on the road.
True.
So nobody actually came out and spanked us on the road, and nobody outside kind of, like I'm using the word, what you just said, butted in to do it. And I think somewhere we need to step back and watch the show. Like you
Yeah.
said, we really don't know what is there. Maybe it could be a PR stint, maybe it's not, or maybe the child was just being himself. Just step
Yes.
back. I think we need to somewhere look at our own clothes and own homes, because like I said, we are living in a place and living in a society where screens and social media and human life is just exposed, and we just feel like there is this right to troll. And I was very, very surprised. I was extremely surprised to know that people are trolling their child and commenting on parenting. And how do you know whether that how can we comment on somebody else's parenting? Like, I know that those parents did their best for their children. They loved their child. And I know the host was doing the best that he could. He was very calm and composed and handling that child's
Yeah.
excitement. I'm not even going to say overreaction. I'm not even going to label it as overconfident. Yes, he was sure, but under that surety was that energy of, maybe it could be excitement, maybe nervousness. Who knows? We don't know. For us, we are as adults labeling the child's behavior, and but the child does not even know what was happening. So I think we just kind of step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Dr. Uchi, what impact might this trolling have on the child's mental health and self esteem in the long run?
In my opinion, none. Honestly, none. If that child is really the way he spoke, then he should get it done. Because I'm sure he's very capable of handling what people are writing there. My only worry is sometimes there are different shades of normal. And when you expose a child to too much too early, mm, it's going to be some kind of a small burden on the child to pull through the image that he has set up for himself. So tomorrow, even if he wishes to change, then you have like the angry man hero, you have the romantic hero. Now you have the rude child. So sometimes you just like forced to be there because people have labeled you. And I feel that as very mature, sensible adults, if you call yourself an adult, most adults are just grown up children. So if you call yourself a real adult, give them a break, cut some slack. Don't just get after children and keep saying this is the way to be. This is the way to be. You do that at your own home. Stop doing it to every child that you see, right? And we have an expectation when you say children.
Right.
You expect all children to be the same? No, I'm sorry. I mean, I go to schools every other day, and every single child in the classroom, I'm very happy if they are different. I would not like to see 60 children in a classroom be the same. And if you see 60 children in a classroom be the same, then I think we're not doing a good job of encouraging individuality, encouraging behavior which can be expressed, not suppressed. We suffer from a society of repressed energy where people are not allowed to speak, people are not allowed to cry. Boys crying is a big thing. Why wouldn't boys cry? I mean, their nervous system is the same, right? Girls being aggressive is considered no, no. Why
Exactly.
not? After all, it's the human brain. And in a country like ours, we need more expression. We need people who are understanding behavior and individuality. And we need teachers who are able to encourage children to become better versions of themselves and not the same version of what you believe is right. And that's where I believe classrooms are those places where the future is built. Classrooms are those four walls where probably we encourage diversity. Classrooms are those walls where everyone should encourage inclusion and not compare one child with another. The same way as behavior cannot be compared. My behavior in one circumstance may be right, but my behavior in another circumstance may not be appropriate. And when it's a show, it's called a show for a reason. I mean, it may be real, it may not be real. And why cast these judgments on behavior? Because behavior cannot be quantified. You're not going to say this is good, this is not. And that's why one man's poison is another man's perfume, right? What is good to
Very true.
me, somebody else will definitely find it as not so good. And
Very
so I think the child, from what I am assuming, I believe he'll be fine because he will outgrow this. They are very short lived memories. And this is
true.
not abuse of any kind. I mean, this is just like, you got to teach the child to take it as somebody's opinion. And I always tell people that, opinions are like the rear end, everybody has one. And there's nothing to worry about that. This will pass because by the time something else would have come up for people to, like jump up and start screaming their lungs
That's very
hoarse.
true.
Yeah,
That's how social media works.
true, true.
Very true.
So it won't affect him. It won't affect him.
Correct.
Let's hope so, because he will go to a society and hope the society is kinder, whoever that is, because I think that's where the responsibility of communities comes in. Because if the child is facing something like this, and if the school as a community works to protect,
Yeah, yeah,
knowing that this is going to happen, and they are safeguarding the interest of the child, not allowing him to get impacted by it, very mindful about it, then there is a chance of him not getting impacted, like Ushi says. But if it's the other, it's a very corrosive society. They're also joining the herd, because I think we used to have this herd mentality, which my father used to say. Now the herd mentality is on social media, and if they're the ones who have not stepped in and they're following the herd, then of course there could be a possibility of him getting mentally, like damaging his mental health and wellness and self-esteem. Right from he might even get the whole idea, believe about himself, shame, anxiety. I mean, there's so much that can happen. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that the societies that are actually there responsible to raise that child come together mindfully, are sensitive, and protecting that child and sheltering and shouldering that responsibility to help that child not get impacted by it. I'm just crossing my
yeah.
fingers. I really don't
Let's
know
hope.
otherwise.
Let's hope. All right. Okay. So, Miss Fatima, how should parents prepare their children before exposing them to large public platforms like TV shows?
Okay. I think number one is, somewhere I'm putting my fingers crossed again, because I think I'm not very very in for children going on big platform, because there's so much of children are very vulnerable. Like, it's emotionally draining. So we are talking about a society where children still don't know how to handle rejections. We're doing life skills programs, we're doing a lot of speaking, training, talking on how to handle rejection at a friend level. at a neighbor level. Here you're putting them into a platform where rejection could come from everybody and anybody. So it's a very vulnerable space. You need a lot of resilience before putting that child up there to face that. Now, if the child is good and if the child is ready, that's the question that I would like to ask. Now, if someone is extremely good at something but is not emotionally ready to handle the consequence, then I don't think the child should be going there, and the parent should be mindful about it and not push the child to do something. But if the parent have prepared them, has prepared them, sorry, and somewhere is resilient, has taken that small steps, done reality check, is prepared to handle stress, because at that age, I doubt whether the child is emotionally and their nervous system ready to handle that kind of pressure, fame, because even handling fame is also needs to be regulated. It needs a lot of
That's right.
maturity. Now,
That's true.
can you create processes, conversation around, let's say, safe failures, safe rejections, identity, because now the child has not formed his identity within his society, little local. Now he's trying to frame his and form his identity in the world around. So can the parent need can the parent um, talk to children about really anchoring that identity? So there's a lot of work from the parents' perspective before pushing them into this platform, just because they become, I'm using the word trophy, just because they think they're ready, not because the child is ready. And there's so much that needs to go. And it's really disheartening to see when children actually get what they want, the fame that they want, because their parents are pushing them, or the
Right.
parents think they're ready and they think that the child is also ready. Ha ma, oh yes, I'm going to do that. But the readiness is actually shown when there is a real failure, when there's a real backlog, then you know whether the child is ready or not, whether the child is able to handle or not. So I think before the child, I think the parents need to sit to people like us. They need to talk about it. They need to understand the consequences. They need to understand how the consequences of, getting on media, social media. But if they're ready, and if they feel that the child is emotionally, mentally ready for it, then very slowly they can prepare the child to get on TV shows. But I think one important thing which I would like to tell is the relationship between the parent and the child. If that is set and strong, where the parents can also handle the bouncing back, because it's very difficult for the parents when their child is being trolled. So if you are able to build that up and also have a great relationship with your child, then maybe together as a family, because today, we don't work as a family. We don't
Yeah.
function as a
Yeah.
family, as a family unit. So we are like very isolated, in getting the way we look at managing failures as a family, or disappointment or rejections, like wo apna kar raha hai, main apna kar raha hu. But as a family, if we can bring that together as a bond form, you know what, we can rely on each other. If that is there, then I think the child should not feel that.
Right. I also wanted to add on one question to that. Do you feel parents should shield their children from the media backlash or help them face it constructively?
Can you repeat that again?
Okay. Uh, do you feel that parents should shield their children from media backlash or help them face it constructively?
Oh, I think I'll take Rishi's point first here.
Okay.
Well, first of all, it all depends on why the parent put the child up there. I'm sure the child on his own didn't say, "I'm going to go there," right? It was something that came out of a collective discussion, maybe, or maybe an idea which cropped up at home, or maybe the process that was followed in selection. I'm not sure how that idea of that little guy going up there came. The parents definitely right now, when they read some of those nasty comments that are coming, I'm sure they don't feel so good.
Yeah.
And some of the parents at times feel a little guilt. Ignorance is bliss. So if the parent is like ignorant and they don't really go through what's coming up on social media, because it's a free for all platform. Everyone comes there, and it's like they puke their garbage and go, and the parent is indifferent because no matter what, I want my child to be famous, I want to be famous through them, I want to show the world what my child is. God knows what their reasons were. But if they were really ready for putting up their child over there, then there are consequences. And I think they should have been readying themselves for that too. It's with every pat comes a kick in your butt, so you should be ready for both. You cannot just expect the pats. And with every bouquet will be a brickbat, and they must be ready to accept both. And when you push a child on stage or onto reality or any of these shows, the child must be taught to navigate through that,
Mm.
the good and the bad. Because
Yeah.
you cannot have an all good life, you cannot have an all bad life. It's always a mix of both. You cannot have only success as your goal. You need to, like how Fatima said, you need to create resilient children. And that's why it was so beautifully said that as a society, we need to work towards creating strong children rather than repairing broken adults. And if you create a strong child, in terms of the support system that we create around the child, starting with the parents, going on to the teachers, and the society as a whole, the peers, of course. But at the end of the day, I think we all are equally culpable if the parent is feeling bad. And if the parent is feeling good, then we are all equally responsible. The problem with people is you're very ready to go out there and just type some rubbish and run away. Nobody takes responsibility. Remember, we are living in a society where comedians are jailed, and you know the elected ones are cracking jokes, and they're living jokes. So I'm not sure what really is offensive, but I think the parent is well ready for the backlash. And the downside of it is their child became famous, or should I say, infamous. So everyone
Mhm.
knows that little guy now, and everyone knows the host, obviously, and everyone knows him now as being the great Buddha who excused a child who was so nasty to him. It doesn't work like that. Everyone's glorifying themselves, and
That's the
everyone is trying to
reality.
do a bit of that. I feel we should just distance ourselves, take a step back, and say that they were all right in their own ways. That's how they are. They are growing. Let's give them some way. That's it.
Ushi, today I was watching something on Facebook. I was just scrolling. Now there's troll even to the host, and I was surprised. They were trolling, saying that, oh, if he was his grandchild, would he have allowed that to happen? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is never going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. So now his children's upbringing will be questioned. His
Now his
grandchildren will be questioned. His schooling will be questioned. So,
exactly,
everyone has those lenses through which they'd like to just squeeze what they can from this. And I
exactly.
find it very sad because it's full of drama out there. You have 50,000 friends on social media, not one at your funeral. The reality is that the cemetery is full of those people who thought the world will end after them, and nothing happens. So you're living in a false bubble. If you think that you're going to go there and everything that you're saying, I'm an influencer. I mean, this is how people introduce themselves. What the hell are you influencing?
That's
I
so
mean,
true.
stop living in this bubble. Just because I'm selling sanitary pads or earrings, or for all some toxic food substances passing off as nourishment. I mean, everyone's glorifying themselves. I'm that, I'm these, I'm these. So, in this world of I think we should teach the word we to everybody. I think the word we is no more existing. It's all about I. And, it's like at my age, let me tell you, it's just a nice joke for me because I distance myself sufficiently to see the truth. And thank God for people like Fatima who are doing some great work in the circles, young people like you, Swati. So I think you guys should bridge these gaps. And between those guys who are so conservative as to have a closed mind, and those guys whose minds are so open that their brains keep falling out.
Right.
Yeah, you need to have somewhere moderation is key for
Yeah.
everything, including behavior.
Maybe. Maybe.
So, Ushi,
Okay.
what we do as part of our work is also something we ask very hard questions, whether it's for to teachers or the parents, because I think right now what at least I'm looking and what I'm facing is a lot of mindless generation. They're just mindlessly getting influenced, like you said, by through
Yeah,
somebody. They're not thinking. They're not even
yeah,
thinking before sharing something. They're not thinking before writing something. They're not even owning up that, I'm writing this. This is my perspective. It need not be the truth. The truth
yes,
could be something that we will never know. Now, here, three of us are sitting and talking, and there are a few of them who are watching us. Trust me, at this point of time, what is the truth over there? We have no idea. We're just talking based on something that we have seen, we've heard. So I think we've
Right.
just a place where we're just talking about something. We just need to mind our own business. And like I said, wash our own linens and ask hard questions to ourselves.
yep.
And, I remember putting something on, there was this movie called Sayara. Okay. And I
Mm-hmm.
put
Right.
a video there where I gave my perspective and I got trolled. And you got trolled royally. And I'm like, okay, but this is my perspective. And I said, in that video, I said, this is my perspective. It may not be true. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. But I love the movie. I love the actors. I'm absolutely not denying the storyline was good. But this is something which I think we need to be a little careful about it. And there you go. The trolls just come in. So I think, as like I said, we are living in a very reactive society. People
Very true.
just don't have guts to get up and say something on platforms like these. We need more Ushis in the world who are very vocal about
I
stage
agree.
things, because we're just hiding behind screens and just vomiting
Exactly.
things out because we as people behind screen don't have consequences. I mean, how much
True.
does it take for me to control? Who's going to catch them? Who's going to hold them? Nobody. अरे क्या जाता है यार, स्कोल करेंगे, I mean troll करेंगे.
Uh,
I mean, that's how we become. We are living in a non consequential society where we can just say anything and get away from it. And this time it's just a child. Tomorrow it could be anybody else. We didn't even spare Amitabh Bachchan, to be honest.
can I
That,
just add a sentence?
Go
I
ahead.
feel that, yeah, I feel that the philosophy of live and let live is so true, and it's as much your place in the world as it is mine. And in a world which is so furiously divided, I feel it's the rational thinkers like us who will make a big difference out there, and not the emotional thinkers who go crazy, calling out all kinds of rubbish and going out there. So in this context, I created a quote which says, "I wish more and more and more people are fluent in silence."
Mm.
It's too much of talk out there to a point where it's noise. And there is a difference between talking and creating noise. There is a big difference between debating and arguing. There is a huge difference between understanding that people can differ to, think unlike me. They can differ to live unlike me. They can differ to act unlike me, and they too have a place in the world, which means that it doesn't make me mightier than thou. So, Fatima, it's really, really important to understand that when children are there in the media and under those arc lights, it just means that you're speeding up the light and water. And just like plants, you need to allow them to grow. You need to allow them to root themselves. Some people, because of circumstances, grow a little quicker, and some people might take forever. And so what? So what? As a doctor, I can tell you there is no right time to do all your growing, and there is no wrong time to improve yourself and not grow. I'm donkeys years old. I'm in that last stage of my life where I still think I should grow, where I
Yeah.
still think that I should learn, change, flex, adapt, accept,
Yeah.
embrace,
Yeah.
have resilience, have energy, have innovation, authenticity, be compassionate, be an empath. So, all of these commodities are not buyable with school fees. These
Yeah.
things come in with real life experiences. You cannot keep blaming the genes. Those days are over. Those days are absolutely over. And we are living in a generation where our missiles are guided and our people are misguided. So
Misguided.
I think it's time to reverse that a little bit and tell people that don't stay quiet when you have to speak. And when you don't need to speak, just
Don't
shut
speak.
up. I mean, it's
Don't.
very simple, right? Very simple.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think Swati's having some issues with her internet because I just saw her
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just wind up and let me just ask you this question since we're talking about silence. Um, how do you think, according to from the perspective and the wisdom that you carry, how does or how do we create that culture of pause, especially when we are on social media, where lives of people are just exposed and we feel like we have the right to comment on it and we can just say that. So, what do you think? Maybe just the last few words on how we can create pause.
Yeah. Being into communication and behavior, I have just just a few things to share. First thing is anything you want to share, be concise.
Hmm.
Stop weaving stories around what you say. Words have different meanings to different people. So be
Hmm.
very, very concise. Uh, Remain extremely calm when you're typing things out. You
Hmm.
cannot pull back once you put it out there.
Huh.
So you need to, like I said, take a few deep breaths, think once or twice, and figure out, do I really want to type these words in?
Hmm.
And those words being brief. Finally, it should be super clear. When you're using words like maybe, somewhat, quite okay, people interpret it in many convenient ways. So it's really important to use very precise words, very specific words, and be very brief in case you want to write down a story. 90% of the times on social media, I think people are just leveraging it to their advantage, and nothing else comes out of it. Now, when you come out there and say some controversial things, we call it the controversy. And the controversy is because we are speaking against what is normal. And what happens when people do that? You get eyeballs. I mean, they're clickbaits. So what happens? 10,000 followers. So what happens? We may have 5 followers. But what the heck? That's the truth. And the truth has not many takers because just going out there and being viral as a doctor is something I won't recommend. Being viral means you'll be dead in due course of time. And if you really want to be viral, then I think like there are many ways of doing it. Don't chase children, don't chase KBC, don't go in social media. It's beautifully said by a friend who works in advertising and marketing that when dog bites man, ushi ma'am, it's normal, but when man bites dog, wow, there comes something we can work on. And
Something
I
to
end
talk
with those words saying, choose your words wisely. Just don't sensationalize. Don't go out there and get carried away by all the drama and trauma. And please, when you're an influencer, remember that there is also a counterproductive troll that's going to chase you. Enjoy the trolling, and it's very much okay to be trolled. There might be people who hate you, disagree with you. They too have space in the world, and that's why I tell people live and let live, live and let live. My freedom begins at my nose, and it ends at the beginning of your nose. So don't, in the word of freedom, go encroaching into everyone else's territory. And at the same time, don't allow everyone else to encroach into yours. We need to be very ferociously protective about the well being of children. And I think emotional well being is top on my list. You may get all the food in the world, you may look as good as who you are, but 90% of the people who counsel with me for suicide are all good looking people.
Yeah.
And that clearly shows that you're not able to express. Everyone tells you, keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. You keep quiet only when it's necessary, but speak up when it's necessary. In this case, the kid spoke up and he spoke fearlessly. And where is the question of being rude or being kind or polite? I mean, it's after all just a show. He's not gone there to do anything else. And what he displayed for those few moments is not who he is, it's what he did. And we must isolate that child from what he speaks, because that child is much, much more deeper and much, much more expansive than those little words he used.
True.
So stop judging. It's just not right.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think I'll just add to that. And I think, we're a society and a world where we can't handle free spirited people and especially
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
We are so contained in ourselves. We can't handle a free spirited child, especially if it's a child. And the moment we see a free spirited child, we want to contain them. We want to bring
Mm.
them. So that's why when I said don't kill the spirit of that child, it doesn't mean you don't correct the child for what it is. Ushi, it would have been very easy for me to say, there's a lot of discussion that happens. Oh, what did the child need? Maybe the child needed a little bit of this, the parent, what did the, I'm not even going there because I have absolutely no right to talk about what the child needs or what their parents need. I am now bringing our attention to what we need as a society and what we,
Yeah.
because we are responsible for what we put out there, right? So, as a society, I think there are a couple of things that we should do. Number one is because, when we do a mindfulness based life skills program in schools, people think mindfulness is, it's just breath work, just
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big, but, that is a stage, a platform to turn the way people think
Yeah.
and to reflect. So, I remember doing one session with our children where we, asked them questions like, what, you're putting something online, but imagine if your grandmother had to see that. Would you like that? Would you like that? If your neighbor would have seen that, would you like that? If your younger sister was there in that place, do you think, or if your parents sees that, if you're putting a photo and if your parents sees that, would you be happy? That kind of reflection is very important, and that is mindful reflection, but that comes after a lot of thinking. So this is my perspective, and I think we're just being reactive, and the attitude of reaction is action, but with pause. So if you can, somewhere not, it's like sending that company emails, which is so vulnerable. It can change the way people think. It can change the way that person is processing that email. You don't send it right away. You put it in your inbox and send it the next day. That's exactly the rule that we need to apply it into our social media as well. So we need a grandma filter. We need a 12-hour, let's say, pause rule. If you ask me, like the golden rule, if you can ask, you need to also look at a mirror test. So when I say mirror test means, like I said, we are all okay with going on screen and vomiting whatever we want, but do we have that guts to say it if that person comes in? We don't ask those questions. And also realizing at adults that what I'm going to put is going to be permanent forever. So am I even sure about what I'm going to do and put over there, which is going to be permanent? And if I have to look at it after 5 years, would I say the same thing? Trust me, no one's going to put that over there. I think they're going to be a little more mindful about putting, because we really don't know how we think in the next 5 years or even 5 days for that matter. Yeah.
So,
So,
Fatima, I think
yeah,
you and me are planting seeds in a garden we may never get to see.
perhaps it's absolutely fine. I think
Yeah,
that's what life
fine,
is all
fine.
about.
Because that's where
Life,
it all begins. That's where
life
it
is
all
about planting
begins.
seeds. And I
Yeah,
think
like
there
you
are,
said, free spirited. And look at me. It's been a good 60 plus years of being free spirited. And imagine right now, people are just realizing what it takes, maybe because of one episode. I've been living that for 60 years. I've always faced like pointing fingers because she speaks her mind. She speaks her mind. And, obviously, I had the courage then, I have the courage now. And I wish that everybody just comes up there to speak without hurting others.
and that's what
And
that.
that's why we need to learn to attack issues and not people.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's what the child, I think when I
Yep.
saw that video, he was just being himself, free spirited,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
no consequence, good, bad, right, wrong. You know what? We are not there to comment.
Yeah. And he never
And I
thought
think
so much. he never thought so much.
No, he
He
didn't.
never thought so much, you know. Yeah.
And yeah, and what I loved was the ending where he requested Amitabh Bachchan for that photo. And I think that kindness shows there. If we can just focus on that he was a 10-year-old, he was looking so forward, he was disappointed at that time. And even in that disappointment, he didn't cry. He said, "Can I please take a photo with you?" That
Yeah.
itself shows that he was just being his 10-year-old self. And I think we need to just applaud him for that. So, on that note, I think, Swati, we're done with our conversation. So I'll let you to just
Thank you,
close.
Swati. Thank you, Fatima. It's been awesome.
Thank you so
Thank you to both of you for giving such amazing inputs. And I really hope people can listen to this and, understand different perspective. And I learned so much from you guys, and I hope others did too. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Take care.